Thank you so much for bringing Riddle into the equation, because they're going to be playing right now versus Bifrost. It's going to be the fight between the second place and the third place. Mind you all, if Bifrost are able to take this one, they will tie up for second place. To me, this is a fight that at the end of the split will probably mean who's going to be at second place.
Means you get the head-to-head too, 2-0. That would be so huge.
It is so important for these teams. Before we jump into the match, into the champion select, where do you see this match going?
It can go anywhere, to be honest, but I'm looking at Bifrost. They have their absolutely strong sides that they need to play from. I feel like their team fighting is still very strong. If they get to that mid game and if they get it without giving away too much in the early game, they have very good potential to actually snowball versus Riddle. Now, the problem with Riddle, they can pretty much do the same. They can get safely to the mid lane, and if both of them manage to do so, if we see a very passive early game, I have no idea who's going to bounce up.
You brought in the team fight because I'm going to deliver you a specific one.
Go for it.
If Bifrost are so good at team fighter, Riddle is a team that is good at team fighting with only 4 players because they need that split push. Is this team capable of holding a 5-man squad of Bifrost while Jax Plank is split pushing?
If it comes to an even fist fight, this is going to be an incredible game. Because I think for me, you were talking about what's happening about Bifrost team fights. Bifrost early game for me has been chef's kiss. Diamond Prox has been giving up individual leads to go bot lane and just make OD on something like a Kalista just a wrecking ball. And suddenly they get to invade through bot jungle. They get to dive bot lane over and over, and then they get to start moving that around the map. For me, I need to look at how Bifrost are going to play against Riddle, and are Riddle going to allow... Are Riddle going to opt in for the early game fist fight? Because Bifrost have always been doing that, at least for this split.
There's an interesting lane, I would say. It is Shikari versus Jax Plank. We need to talk about these guys because Shikari specifically told us on the previous interview, I don't mind picking the Nard, even though people think it can be, you can actually pick on them with Aurelio and those picks. I don't care about them. We're talking about someone that knows how to play versus Nard. Jax Plank is a guy that knows how to play Jax and Gangplank, that he can deal with the Nard. And Shikari was like, I'm fine playing into them. I'm one of the best top laners in the league. Jax Plank on the other side is a guy that just wants to split push all day long.
And that's the issue. Can you just stand against Jax Plank? I feel like what Bifrost would need here is to have some pressure on the top side to make sure that Jax Plank never gets to the moment where he can safely go to the side lanes and have the split pushing there. I feel like they need to shut down this possibility for him to make sure that he's not playable in the mid game, that he cannot execute this very winning strategy that Riddle have had so far.
And I do agree with that to an extent, but if you look how Bifrost tried to deal with very important split pushes at EU Masters, they were putting Shikari on Ornn. In fact, they were doing that versus X7 in the playoffs last split. I wonder if they're actually just going to say, try your damn best, we're just going to go lock up shop in the top lane, play something that can just clear waves, and then Shikari turns up to those team fights where Bifrost are very good. That's another answer to it. They have options available. It is risky giving Jax like a winning game lane matchup, though.
There's an interesting point in this one as well. We were talking about the leaderboard of players, and Jax Planks may be closer than they appeared in the mirror, I would say, because Eminence is with 15 kills, while Jax Planks got 5 solo kills in the previous week.
Is that Jeep in Jurassic Park, just like objects there? Just Jax
Plank it's Eminence running away, and Jax Plank approaching like, I'm split pushing.
Like in the Corky copter.
And you see Jax Plank with a Nard or the Jax or something like that. Because on the 1v1 Shikari versus Jax Planks, what do you believe are the picks that we should be on the lookout? I don't think Shikari will look into the Nard and be
I don't think anyone will see this coming. I think that there's going to be a Jax, and I think there's going to be a Gangplank.
What?
That's what I think is going to be important in the one.
But you don't know which one is going to play which.
Well, no, I think that Shikari is a really good Gwen player, a very good Gangplank player as well. I was just trying to make a joke about names. I didn't really think where this was going. But
I got it, don't worry.
Pick it up. Yep, go.
Aside from that, we're talking about the jungle. Someone that allows himself to stay behind to make sure that the team is ahead. On the other side, though, we have Stefan. He's crazy.
It is crazy. Oh my god, he is absolutely crazy. He can actually be the kryptonite to this possibility to shut down the top lane for Riddle. If Bifrost decide to go for it, Steph will be the one standing between them and that possibility, because he can shadow the top lane or any other lane to this extent, actually. He can shadow the lane whichever needs his attention to make sure that they are safe and sound, to get them safely through the early game and just snowball them into the late game.
And if Stefan is shadowing one of those lanes and turns up, there's a high chance he's going to outplay you once he turns up there too. So yeah, I think this is the real wild card here. We talked about these top laners and how they might be isolated on a side lane. Stefan's going to be just flitting between the lines, though, and Bifrost needs to be really careful if they're making their characteristic aggressive plays early. I think Stefan might be able to undo them there.
Let's remove the shadow and bring on the light as we move into the champion select. Bifrost versus Riddle, a fight for the second place so far. If Riddle gets this one, not only they almost secure their second place, like a little bit of a lead, but also approach JDXL. Moving on into the champion select, into the ban phase. What are we expecting? Zeri needs to be removed.
Yes.
Zeri,
Lucian.
Lucian, I think, has to be there too. I actually wonder if Riddle should take away Kalista. I think that OD on the bot side has been such a wrecking ball on that. I mean, that's the word I keep using because they use it to get control of the wave first couple of waves, use that to move into the enemy jungle, use that to dive. I think you really can't put that on the table. I'm also wondering if Wukong should be taken away too, because Diamondprox has shown a real level of comfort on that, uses that very early on into the game to also, in similar ways, cause issues.
I also wonder about Volibear yet again. I pretty much always wonder about him, to be honest. But in this game, I feel like he could be so crucial for both of the teams to allow for that early aggression for whoever decides to pick him. And with Viego out of the equation, you have both of these strong junglers available for you, so you can pretty much just take both of them and be happy and see who will manage to have better early aggression.
I would feel this should be a Wukong first pick. I think that that's pretty simple. I think it allows Bifrost to play, again, into any kind of team fight. Diamondprox very comfortable to invade, to fight early on it, to duel with it. So then it just puts over to Riddle to say, look, this was the obvious one. We've shown effectively nothing. Wukong doesn't really define your team composition because he doesn't have like those key core weaknesses which so many other champions have. Like he just succeeds wherever he's put.
I wonder also about the top picks, to be honest, especially for Riddle. Like, will they decide to keep the top pick till the very end?
Oh my god, it's Lucian top!
Oh. I did not expect that. But they're playing on the red side right now, so they have this possibility of the last pick, and they can decide to keep it till the very end to see the full pick for Bifrost, to see what exactly they can put against them.
To make it easy for you, I would say picking Lucian versus OD is like picking Ari versus you. Like, you know the matchup. You know how to deal with it.
Funny thing is, the only time I remember that happening in recent memory was I actually played against another REOTP and
you got destroyed.
Absolutely smashed me.
Hey, bad example after all.
Gotta break the bad news to you. There's a champion you wanted removed, did not see today.
No.
We can give you the support that you need, but just after this, because
I need
you
all
have to
of
deal with the Udyr.
We have cookies on the room, okay? I bring cookies.
Thank you.
Okay.
See what else they can sweeten the deal with. So
Hard engage versus the Lucian. How do you reason with this? You have no Kalista, but you have the Nautilus.
Yeah, so you have that Nautilus, obviously, that again, that's point and click. It's very similar stuff that you deal with that Kalista and the Zeri in some ways. Good on you, Fury.
My boy.
Always ends up hovering that for our dear Ashram over here. But already putting in this... I do actually want to hover over a little bit of the Udyr again, because I'm looking at this and thinking, we did see the Udyr versus Bifrost on Monday, actually. That was what we saw locked in. And that Udyr was there to get CS leads and try and get to the point where Wukong... If you...
I'm split.
Yeah, you get individual leads on that Wukong. On the Udyr, rather, over the Wukong, then the Wukong can't play as aggressively as you would like to otherwise. It's just trying to keep the enemy jungle matchup down.
It's also looking a little bit into later game, as I'm looking at the picks that we have already available for Riddle. With Renata, if it actually goes in, this is the team that wants to have team fight, but also will actually be pretty good with trying to get individual targets out before the team fight potentially even starts. Looking at Aphelios, that's a perfect target.
It's also speed up for Udyr. You put on that bailout and zoomies happen without actually having Yuumi on there. But you're right, the Aphelios has been locked in. Aphelios Nautilus was... This was actually a combo which T1 picked when Aphelios was out of meta at MSI to say, we are always going to find the explosive team fights, because if a hook lands, an ultimate lands, it's into an Aphelios Moonlight Vigil, it's into a Graviton or something like that, and someone dies. Now, Udyr doesn't have the best amount of ways to avoid that, so I'm looking at Udyr and going, oh, you poor jungler, Stefan, that's going to be really, really awkward for you. So what this is going to be a battle of now, already with just these first 3 picks locked in, is how much value and how much space are you buying with the hostile takeover before, or rather, can you do that on a time limit before the Aphelios Nautilus really pops you? It's got to be one of the two. It's just got to happen in that way, I think.
And I think Trouble was the one putting this the best way when you see the Udyr, where you see Udyr just farming away, getting 200 minions, and you're like, team, I'm almost full build, and everybody's like, save us, we're getting ganked! And it was like, almost 5 items, baby. What do you bring into the late game? Like, to me, that was the best analysis.
Oh no, Udyr is not a late game champion. Now, you can have a lot of late game 1v1 dueling potential, but it's just never that case, because Udyr needs like a significant amount of time to kill you at that point. It's like, aha, I'm gonna hit you with my 30th auto. Damn, everyone else's turn up. What do I do now? They've got hands.
You run away. Okay, on to the second phase of picks. What can we expect? Because we have the bot lanes, we have the jungle, we finally need to see the mid lane probably.
So I really like the bans from both of these teams. I think that is focusing down on champions which really punish you for having low range compositions. Felios, fairly low range. Nautilus is a melee support. Wukong diving in. Udyr, also melee. Everyone is so low range. So we've got a Sylas on one side, Veigar on the other. All of these champions are ones which are going to be either diving into the fray to join the fracas, or in the case of that Veigar, if it was going to be locked in, just controlling some zones.
But look at that already. For Bifrost, they want to be going in. At least half of the team would like to be going into you. For Riddle, with Renata already picked for the bot lane, that is good for them. They want you to be coming into them because they will be ready to meet you with a hostile takeover. Now, you need some follow-up to that, because while this hostile takeover is going to be going, you need some heavy damage to be landed.
Well, thankfully,
He did it.
Bifrost have actually picked a Sylas ult for him, so you can follow up with a Stolen Mega Nard. There you go.
Oh my god.
He did it. Shikara came in with the Nard after seeing, wait, is that pick? No, I was like, no, don't do me like that. It's the Veigar, it's the pick that we usually see Fury just being a menace.
So now this means Udyr loves taking ghosts, loves running it down. You cannot play without flash in Veigar. It's so difficult. There's so many ways to deny Riddle if they're not really far ahead coming into those team fights. So Riddle, for me, have to really see how... I need to really see how they enable this Udyr, because if you're not doing stuff to the lanes early, it's really difficult the later the game goes on.
And this is not a pure split push champion now, the GP. You can split push, obviously, but you're a menace on the team fights as well. So I don't think Jaxplank is going for that split push the entire game.
I wouldn't entirely exclude that possibility, to be honest, but I would not be surprised to see him in the fights, because now with Udyr, I think you need some additional damage to be entering your team, some damage that can start popping off pretty early if Bifrost force you into early team fights. So this Gangplank actually joining the fights, not just with the ultimate, but full-on champion being in the fights, is going to add quite a lot, and is going to maybe make it possible for Riddle to win the team fights.
Final words.
What it also does with that Gangplank, which is so important, is it does alleviate some of the Udyr problem of target access. You land a barrel, you land an ultimate, Udyr actually can stick to a target. He does damage, he just needs to get to them. Gangplank can maybe help with that. I think that it's not enough, though. I think Bifrost have the better team comp. Riddle have had to try and patch things up as it goes along. I don't think it's been enough.
It's a battle for the second spot right now, and maybe it's for the tiebreaker, but because if Bifrost take Riddle down, it's going to be a 2-0 versus that specific team. So without further ado, I want to see battle, I want to see blood, I want to see Hipbrain alongside Trouble.
I want to see this game. This game is going to be super, super hype. Obviously, the head-to-head is the big thing. Bifrost being one up right now over Riddle. If Riddle lose this game, that head-to-head could be just massive for the standings later on. Let's talk a little bit more about the drafts, though. There's a few things you liked in that draft. There's a few things I saw. Well, I walked out the door as soon as I saw the Udyr get locked in.
So basically, Hipbrain's making his way in while the draft is still going. I point at the Udyr. He's like, goodbye. You know what? We have a very mutual feeling for that jump.
I think actually this week me and you have synced up quite a lot on. Okay, assassins suck at the moment. That's poo-poo. Azir Corki mid is poo-poo, and also no one likes Udyr. No one likes Udyr.
So, back to the game. This is, of course, a rematch between Bifrost and Riddle, and I'm gonna be your historian right here and remind you what happened on day 1 of the summer split when these two teams met. It was Riddle with Rudolph in the top lane, their sub-top laner, Jaxplank in the mid lane, and Reye down bot lane. Now this is their fully intended roster and up to speed playing their first game versus Bifrost. So for Vladi and for Kevo, this is the first time that they're going to be facing this Bifrost this season, right?
Yeah.
So it's a clean slate. They've never lost to them. Vladi doesn't know what losing to Bifrost means yet, and neither does Kevo. So Bifrost playing against the full roster this time of Riddle. And I think this is where you also get to measure your power, and you get to measure how strong your seeding is in the standings. As was previously mentioned by Ashram as well, Bifrost have beaten Riddle, not with the intended roster, but they have beaten them. So if they do beat them again here, that is a 2-0. Mind you, Bifrost claimed first place last split due to a 3-way tie where they had the better head-to-head against the other two teams.
Yeah, these games matter. We are getting into the action straight away in our podium punch-out between Riddle and Bifrost. Just seeing, obviously, top lane, going to be a little bit of a fun one. Obviously, Jaxplank getting the Gangplank, one half of his mains here. And we see quite a lot, actually, the Gnar getting picked into the GP. It's a very common matchup, so we're pretty used to it at this point.
And also, Shikari mentioned it on Monday, he's like, the durability changes have made Gnar so much more blind pickable. Well, I personally did not think about it, but when Gnar goes into mid-Gnar form, he says he has HP similar to Sona, which is one of the lowest in the game. But yes, when you're Mega Gnar, you can sustain, you can walk forward into your lane because you've got more HP, but when you're mid-Gnar, you really do suffer from all the poke. Now with the durability changes and the extra HP, it's much easier to play Gnar because the mid-Gnar form is not as easily punished.
Yeah.
Talking though about top lane and talking about champions and compositions in general, I really love what Riddle bring to the drafts every single time. They locked in Kevo's Lucian very early on, and then instead of picking the Nami, they transitioned to the Renata. And why did they do that? Because Odi locked in a heavy hitter down the bot lane. This Aphelios, when he has 2 to 3 items, if he does get taunted and goes berserk towards his team from the Renata ult, he's going to shred someone's HP bar.
And it's one of those things as well where, like, Renata just in these teamfight situations, Nami's amazing. The Tidal Wave is an annoying tool to play around it. It really disrupts the fight. But, like, the whole kind of feeling of the fight gets completely turned around by the likes of a Renata hostile takeover. You look at Kevo, he's got a cleanse. He's recognizing, okay, I'm a short-range AD carry. They got the Wukong, they got the Gnar, they've got the Veigar. The Veigar's obviously the big one, shutting down these kind of shorter-range team fights. But you get a hostile takeover through that. Kevo, he's quite happy to jump in, get all that damage off, and it can just completely change the turn of things. Odie has gone flash heal, so if he gets hit by a hostile takeover, he is for the full duration going to be attacking whoever he's standing next to. And like you said, he's a heavy hitter. He's going to be able to do a lot of damage. Now, as we bring it back towards the actual game and what's going on right now, my eyes are turning a little bit towards these junglers. Stefan's been able to pick up both of the crabs, not as impactful as in previous years, but it is a nice pickup for him.
Okay,
obviously,
let's be honest.
On the UD, you're a power jungler.
Me Udyr, me Slap, me PvE.
Yeah.
Guys, don't you worry, I got you. So the main reason why Udyr obviously is being picked in this meta right after the whole Viego, Volibear, Wukong shenanigans at the S tier of the jungle picks is the fact that he's really easy to shadow lanes. Due to the fact that he clears quickly means that he will be up a level to the opponent jungler, which means it will be much easier to shadow a bunch of dives and aggression that could potentially be coming from the Wukong. So right now he's very comfortably sitting at 14 CS up and counting. He's much faster at clearing from the Wukong, which means that he can make things happen on a side lane while Stammerbox is trying to farm for that level 6, right? So having the 2 crabs means your lanes stay safe. Having the extra HP means you get levels faster, means you get HP and a lot of your stats much higher than the Wukong, which means that the second the Wukong walks into you, you better slap him in the face, you force him off of an objective. This is why Udyr is picked right now. He's pretty much a big bully and he's really good at shadowing lanes.
That was an amazing trade as well, and we saw in the bot lane there. Nash and Kevo, that started with a fight onto them. They just trade back quite happily here. But you're seeing, you know, this top lane you were talking about how the Gnar can handle it in mini form a lot better than he used to be able to. Jaxplank, though, big scaling champion, obviously also does have that capability to disrupt teamfights while they're not even actually getting involved in them, or even ganks and stuff like that. Cannon Barrage coming up fairly soon here for Jaxplank, so that's going to be one to watch on that front. So we'll keep our eyes to see, you know, what Jaxplank's game plan is going to be. But Shikari kind of just got this wave pushing towards him, so he's feeling pretty comfortable as Bifrost rotate multiple people into mid side.
Yeah, if you see Fury, he's very low on mana right here, and he really needs to crush that wave so he can go back. I don't know if we can see any gold right here, how close he is to his lost chapter that you got.
He's got it.
He actually has lost chapter in his pocket, so that is going to be a really big power spike for him to be able to permanently shove the lane. It's really important to get priority because this Udyr is so strong in the early game that you need to have the body's advantage to try and fight him and fend him off of objectives, right? But right now, I do not see necessarily Bifrost having the need or feeling the need to actually contest for any dragons or any fights, unless they have perma prior, which bot lane does have right now. But look at Nash, he's right there to make sure that Stefan stays safe, while Vlad is pulling a trade in the mid lane.
Oh my word, he just chunks him out massively there. Another chain lash like that, and Fury probably will just go down to that combo. Diamondprox is able to pick up his first crab of the game. Stefan just trying to continue to keep pressure on this bot side dragon. Wants Bifrost to always be a little bit on edge about this dragon potentially going down, as it is going to get started up here by the free. Actually, Vladdy's coming over. He is hanging about as well. Has got OD and Highway, but no ultimates available. Means that this is probably a little bit too risky. That Cannon Barrage is up and available on the top side as well. And I think, you know, that was a smart decision. It's only a Cloud Drake. You better not throw the game over a Cloud.
Look at bot lane though. For this to happen, you had to move Kevo and Nash into the river, which means that Audi and Highway managed to crush an entire wave, which was a wave that Kevo did not catch. And that aggressive Lucian, where he's able to double up onto the Aphelios. Now Aphelios has caught up pretty evenly in CS and almost has one turret plating versus this Lucian as well. So the healthier Audi comes out of this laning phase and gets into his 1 to 2 item power spike, the better it will be for the teamfights for Bifrost. Meanwhile, Vladdy has found himself a Diamondprox.
Oh, he has. He's got the ultimate, the Primordial Burst. Pops the monkey, and down goes Diamondprox. A lovely pick up there for Riddle's mid lane.
How is this allowed? How is this allowed? Shikari is pushed towards his lane.
Yeah.
They have a ward there. There's a ward on the side lane bush as well in the mid lane. So there's no way... Oh, this is why I would love to see a replay right here, because there's no way. I don't know how Vladdy managed to get through all of the vision. There is a replay. Thank you so much. Oh, there was not a ward when he walked through that mid lane. He just got away. Well. He just literally got away with murder. The ultimate from the Vega was just about to fall off as well. They knew that Diamondprox was going to be level 5 at his blue buff. Great jungle tracking right here for Riddle. An insane capitalization from Vladdy into the jungle, using that ultimate while it was just about to go off of cooldown and pushing that Wukong further behind.
Stefan gonna use this top lane pressure that he's got here for Jaxbank, or at least marginal top lane pressure he's got here, to rotate over and pick up the crab. As Vladdy actually jumping into Fury, misses out with a chain lash, but Nash is here as well. Nash hasn't got that level 6 mark, and Highway actually finds himself a little bit caught as Vladdy has a depth charge. The Cannon Barrage is coming down, and they're spinning away. Down goes Highway, a beautiful kill once again for Vladdy in the mid lane, and Riddle are just really starting to take over this game.
I just think that they just look so scary. The fact that Jaxbank positions his ultimate in a way where the other 2 remaining members from Bifrost cannot do anything. Diamondprox goes back into his jungle, but Riddle do know, and they might actually...
Cage! The Kingslayer heal from Vladdy saved his life. That was so close. To Shikari has not out, and he might be looking for a fight versus Jaxbank. Just sends him back with a Gnar. Jaxbank does have himself the ability to get that trial by 5, but can't get quite close enough to get the kill. And Shikari is actually feeling pretty comfortable here. Has got Nash coming in though. They catch him out with the handshake, and now he's lost himself the Gnar. He's able to jump away for just a moment, and Shikari will survive. These top lanes get a little bit of attention thrown down, but Shikari should be able to hold out as the reset comes in. You know, I want to continue to talk about this top lane, though, because these two...
Me too, because honestly, the macro that's coming in, the fact that Jaxbank is able to shove in his wave, put down his ultimate, split the team fight completely, then make sure that this wave is pretty even, so then he forces Shikari to take a trade on him and clear the ward. As we're seeing again, Vladdy, if he had connected that chain, I think Fury was pretty much dead right there, because Nash was close enough to do the handshake. But look at that again. Highway is going to be pushed back, and that gangplank ult, it looked like it missed. It didn't. It kept Diamondprox and Fury away from the support. They couldn't defend. Diamondprox walks back into the jungle. He's been completely tracked the entire time, and this is what Udyr does. Because he's ahead in experience, because he's ahead in levels, he's able to just take his entire team, bear slap you in the face, and punish you. And as you can see, Riddle are the first ones in every objective. And again, look at their macro. Bot lane is evenly pushed in the mid lane. What do they want? They want the Rift Trial. Perfect. You've got Gangplank on the top side of the map, full summoners. You're going to transition your Renata towards the top side of the map. Level 6, by the way, which means that Bifrost cannot dare to walk into that river. And then Kevo also was in the mid lane to make sure he covers for Vladdy until Vladdy joins them as well, which means no CS was missed.
Yeah, and perfect timing as well, because Dragon's up in 40 seconds. Get that empowered recall for Stefan. Finish up some
Look
items.
at that respect for Kevo in the bot lane as well.
That is smart. Very, very smart there from Kevo. Vladdy comes down to make sure that Kevo can catch the last of this farm. Everybody else is now rotating down this way. Stefan has the Rift Herald. They can use that for pressure in mid, or they can just use it towards pressure in bot. It's really up to them. Kind of up to them what they want to do. I think Stefan's probably not going to go for that. He's just going to look to pick up his Gromp, head towards that mid lane, slap Herald down, and turn their attention towards this Dragon. Fury does get Vladdy with a little bit of poke damage, a little bit of chip, but as we saw earlier, the Kingslayer is such an effective tool at keeping him alive. He's got the Everfrost finished up. The Gale Force is finished up onto Kevo as well, so item spikes are starting to come in for the side of Riddle. Dragon's now up on the map, and actually, Bifrost have done a pretty good job of getting themselves the vision control of this area. They've got the crab, they've got a couple of wards down, but now Riddle, it's their turn to move in, clear out this vision. The crab's faded away, but they're just going to start out without doing their due diligence. So we'll see if they get punished for this.
I think you still do not want to fight this. You definitely want Diamondprox to have his Mythic up and available. He's farming towards that Sandra. You have Audi. Yes, he has the Kraken Slayer, which is not my personal favorite here because there's so many things that you do need to dodge.
Yeah.
Yes, you do have one flash, but there's so many things thrown your way. The chains, the Gnar that's going to be taken away from Vladdy later on. There are plenty of barrels, hostile takeover coming in from Ronaldo. There's so many things that you need to dodge around and dance around as an Aphelios to make sure that you're putting out the utmost damage because you are the hypercarry for your team. So Kraken Slayer, yes, but when you have no boots, you cannot unfortunately walk into the River to try and contest.
What I'm really liking is you noted it earlier with Kevo when he backed off when everyone was on the top side of the map. We saw the exact same thing there from Jack's flank. He doesn't know where Diamondprox is. He knew the Dragon wasn't contested, so he backs off and just gives up a little bit of pressure. Then you see members come over from Riddle, check for the area safe for him, and now Jacksplank can push up.
Look at all
Bot
this
side,
HP.
though, it looks like some attention's being thrown down. Highway needs to be very careful. Herald's going to get summoned up, and it looks like there's the Ghost Pop into the hook, flash out to make sure nobody's going down. Riddle, they're happy with this. They've already picked one plate up. They can look for the second two here, maybe that third as well to finish it up. 4 plates bot side picked up for the side of Riddle, and Bifrost, that cost them a flash and a heal.
Okay, so I think this is the best world for Bifrost because Audit does not necessarily get deprived of much of the experience and gold that was crashing into the tower with all this minion wave being pushed by the side of Riddle. So I think this is the best of both worlds. I was actually expecting Jacksplank's ultimate to come down and potentially try to instantly kill Audi. But the fact that you do manage to get one of his summoners, get a little bit of CS off of him, I don't think it means so much. Again, Kevo is a very short-range AD carry and he's going to have to play into Gnar, Wukong, and Cage from the Veigar. So yes, the faster you get that Lucian into being really powerful, the better it is for your team. But I think the gold lead does not speak that much right now for the Lucian because that Aphelios is still 15 CS up. Sorry, 8 CS up.
It's an interesting one, yeah, because the game is, you know, gold lead in Riddle's favor, momentum definitely in Riddle's favor, but Odie relatively untouched right now. He's been quite chill, and yes, the scary thing is, oh wow, that Aphelios is farming up, and they could just turn him against his own team with the hostile takeover. But it is still, you know, there are still avenues. You've got the scaling on the Veigar. Veigar's now got the Everfrost. He's got the Predator boots upgraded as well to Ionian. So slowly but surely, Bifrost are getting into a state where they are pretty comfortable. Odie is going to actually look to pick up this first turret of the game as well in the bot side, so even more gold injected into Odie. Shikari has to be quite careful because Jacksplank is chasing him down. If this barrel chain hits, he's in trouble. Mistimes the parlay, and Shikari, he wasn't even risking it, flashes straight out of there.
Yeah, you just have to make sure you do not give any kills. You've seen that the only 2 kills, well, 3 together with Highway, but the 2 deaths onto Diamondprox have been inside his own jungle. He's actually been ganked by the entire crew plus Udyr in his own jungle what he's trying to clear. So I feel like Bifrost are playing this really well, especially towards the bot side of the map. I love the fact that Highway and Audi have been completely unpunished. Remember, Highway doesn't have a flash, Audi doesn't have a heal, and Riddle are sticking around to potentially pull a fight onto this bot side of the map. But Diamondprox has found himself too.
He has, but he's able to jump out with the clone there, but has to be so careful. They've got the Flamer, though, onto Odie, so he can quickly make quick work of this wave and clear that out. Jacksplank trying to look. They get the Gnar back. Instant orange into the wallop. Not in range of the tower shot, so Shikari can't actually find anything more from that. It was a nice try, but but it didn't actually result in anything. Now Riddle rotating everyone towards the bottom side of the map. They want to finish this tower up and kind of get Kevo out of bot side, slap him in the mid lane as soon as possible. Odie actually quite happy to give this up, recognizing everybody's rotated over, and he's just moving towards mid lane. I actually really like how both of these teams are playing an element of respect towards each other. Yes, Riddle definitely are playing the faster early game here. They are playing, you know, the more gold efficient early game here, but Bifrost are respecting when they're strong, where they're strong, and they're okay to give up a few objectives. Now, 50 seconds until this Infernal Drake spawns up, we are on that Hextech Soul, even though there is still that bug on the Soul. It's going to be interesting to see, you know, if this is the one for the Dragon but Bifrost contest, or if it's the next one. I think Hextech Soul is super impactful on this patch right now.
If we look at the inventories, the only thing that's missing right now is the Mythic for Shikari. You want your Nard to have that Trinity Force before you throw him into the fight. So now I'm looking when Shikari is going to press his B button and if he actually has the money to buy that Trinity Force, because his teleport is up and available. So if Bifrost do want to move in, they have to shove in the mid lane wave and try to enter from all three ways from the mid side. But as you can see, oh, Vladdy got caught.
Yeah, they're going in there. The hostile takeover is going to land. It's going to lock Odie down, but Odie wasn't hit. Cannon Barrage to zone everyone away. Teleport coming in from Jaxplank. Shikari hasn't been able to get back to base and pick up an item, and I think this might just be Dragon number 3 over to the side of Riddle. Bifrost immediately give it, rotating to the mid side, and they're going to see if they can take this tower down. Riddle burnt a fair amount there with that hostile takeover and Cannon Barrage thrown down. The tower will stand, and Riddle actually just get away with everything on the map there.
Yeah, they're actually much stronger right now. They also had to pull the teleport from Jaxplank as well, just to make sure they have the extra members right there. But the mid lane tower really did suffer, and it's going to be a problem later on when Bifrost starts opening the map, because that means they're going to have more access to the mid lane wave since the tower is not there for Riddle. So Diamond Prox is going to take that Rift Trail. That Rift Trail was most likely going to be the last nail in the coffin of that mid lane tower, which means once you have access to that, you get to bleed your vision a little bit further into Stefan's jungle, which means you get a lot more easy and safe access into the river once you have that vision. You're going to need it 4 minutes and 50 seconds from now. That soul is going to be very favorable for Riddle, so you definitely want to start contesting. And by then, that Aphelios might also have maybe even 2 items.
I mean, tier 2 just fell bot side as well, so that's a lot of gold. So net gold gain for Riddle right now, very much in their favor. We'll have to see how this Herald's going to get used. Are they just going to try and brute force this mid lane tower down? Their mid is still very, very healthy, so as long as someone's always here and they're not getting caught on bad bases, they should always be able to defend this tower. But the question is are they going to just Herald mid, or are they going to try and take mid naturally and then Herald into that second tower and force Riddle even further back in the mid lane?
That depends also on the timer of the Herald and when it will expire and whether we'll just do to go for that Dragon Ride, because I feel like Riddle will most likely want to go for it on spawn and force Bifrost for an answer on that one.
Yeah.
Now, my biggest question right here is, we've talked about Bifrost for so long, and we're like, historically, Bifrost is probably one of the best team fighting teams that we have on the NLC.
Yeah.
You play against Bifrost, past 25 minutes, you have lost. Full stop. There is no arguing that. This season, it hasn't necessarily been the same story for them, but Odie, almost on his second item, I'm waiting to see that Aphelios get into this team fight, see if he can actually get his ultimate off. He has all of his summoners so far, and I feel like if Riddle really want to have a chance for this team fight, they might want to take a pick on Odie now that he's playing on a much shorter lane, and it's much easier to gank him from all sides.
Yeah, you're completely right, but for now, Odie always kind of leaning towards where the highway is. Highway has been very active on the map and moving around. Looks like they're trying to catch off Riddle here on a reset. Reset's going to come in. Odie's going to clear this out, and Diamond Proc's now going to come into the lane. So I actually think we are going to see Herald get slammed down in the mid lane. They want to take this tower. They need to open up. You've got 2 minutes until that Hextech Soul spawns for the side of Riddle. And Riddle, you know, they are the ones who can give this up. If they don't feel comfortable, they can give it up, but Bifrost have to fight this dragon. They do not want to be fighting into a Hextech Soul. The pressure comes in. They're pushing forward to take this tower, and they may look to push for a little bit more. They lose the event horizon, so they're going to get the charge onto this tier 2 as well. I don't think they're going to be able to finish the tower up itself, but that is a big wallop of damage out of that mid lane tier 2. So Riddle have to be a little bit careful at this point.
Again, this is so important versus Riddle because look at the champions they have. They have 1-2 melee champions, Silas and Udyr. Cannot necessarily walk into the wave to try and wave clear it when you're under siege. Lucian, yes, he's an AD carry. He can clear from far away, but not too far away. He's a very short-range AD carry. You cannot move too far into the wave. Jaxplank, usually on a side lane, you won't have his barrels for wave clear. You most likely will have his ultimate.
Yeah.
But when this is gone, it's a tool gone from the Riddle toolkit to separate Aphelios from his team later on in fights. So it is very difficult for Riddle to fend off a siege from Bifrost due to all this gap that they can create from the sort of Bifrost with Audi onto that Aphelios longer range and with Veigar and the Cage. But talking about Cage, talking about Aphelios, this is going to be a 2-item Aphelios on the spot. 1 minute till next Dragon, and I think Bifrost will want to contest that.
Odie does actually have a gold lead over Kevo as well. So he's got those 2 items, like you said, the expensive items in his pocket. You get everybody is teleporting in. Everybody wants to contest this Dragon. Fury hasn't finished up the death cap, but the 2 needlessly large rods, level 13, so 2 points into that ultimate from the Primordial Burst. There is a level lead for Vladdy, which is something they need to be a little bit careful of. But Bifrost, they're muscling their way in to get vision dominance of this river. Have to be a little bit careful of that crab down, though. There's always going to be that permanent spot of vision to play around as Jaxplank, he's teleporting in. Every team knows this is the one, this is the fight. Is going to probably decide a lot about the next moments of this game.
The most important thing is that mid lane wave and who has priority over it. Because Bifrost right now need to give everything they have to stay safe just so they can shove in that wave. Shoving in that wave means you move first into the river just as the dragon spawns. Vladdy, I think he wanted to pick up the Gnar ultimate right there, but he picked up the Moonlight Vigil from the Aphelios, and that would have been huge.
I think it's the Infernum one, though, which actually has AP scaling, so that's going to be okay for Vladdy. So he does have that to work with. A little bit of poking. There goes the event horizon. They found the cleanse, but it's too early. Kevo has got himself the bailout, but he's going to go down. Bleeds out and falls down. Highway with the ignite finds the kill. Into the hook. Into the Gnar. What a huge one for Shikari. And Riddle are absolutely slammed. 3 members fall. Shut down for Odie. And Bifrost, you said it, Trouble. They are the best team fighters we've got, and they just flex their stuff.
You know what? I said it, but I lied on the timer. I said past 25 minutes, you don't beat them. It seems like they've gotten this timer shortened up. Hip Rain, 23 minutes on the clock. They absolutely wipe out Riddle. Only Stefan and Nash remaining onto this one, and Bifrost is a 5-man core member. They'll steal away the soul, and they'll go for the Baron as well. Now, Stefan, of course, doesn't have the flash, so how in the world do you walk into this pit to even try and contest for the smite?
There's no way he can get even remotely close. Baron's been picked up, a teleport is on. They're looking to go for the fight. They get the handshake off onto Highway. Highway will just sacrifice his life to make sure the rest of the team get away. Beautiful event horizon into the slow. Bifrost, sure, they lost their support, but they got Dragon, they got Baron. They are happy right now.
But remember the game that we watched earlier with Eminem? They had the same win condition, and look how Bifrost have managed to actually come out of laning phase so strong. Again, pushing in that mid lane wave was so huge for them because it means they get control in the river first. And the fact that Kevo moves close, we mentioned how short range he is. The event horizon is going to be a problem. The hooks from Nautilus are going to be a problem, and he gets caught, and that Shikari ultimate right there absolutely solidifies the fact that when Bifrost want to team fight, you do not beat them.
That was an absolutely beautiful ultimate from one of the UK veterans in Shikari, someone who's been on the scene for a very, very long time.
Return of the King?
Return of the King, yeah, that was I was so excited when he came back. I was so excited for the return. Obviously, formerly I remember Fnatic Rising, being on, you know, a lot of prestigious orgs within this scene, and obviously now that it's the NLC, there's even more orgs and even more countries to represent, but Shikari's still putting a name in as one of our top players, or one of our top laners at least, here in the league. as Shikari has been found out by Jax Plank, maybe making me eat my words a little bit here. Got the Hyper Prop, the Cannon Barrage is coming out. They're using the teleport. Shikari keeps eating barrel after barrel. He needs to get away. He's able to flash out. Fury misses out for the moment, but in comes Vladdy with a beautiful turnaround. The Kingslayer into the chain lash. Fury has to flash away. But everybody else is coming in to chase him down. Everfrost in. Stefan chases forward. Diamond Prox can't save the day as Vladdy finds himself a double kill. They're going to hate the gates through. They're going to chase on for Diamond Prox for more kills. All of Riddle just bail and bundle in to the Hex Gate. A blue buff and 2 kills is the reward.
That was a big blunder right there for Bifrost because you've got all the tools to try and siege. We mentioned how it's impossible for a Sylas and an Udi to walk up to the wave and clear it out, especially when you have the Baron buff. Lucian is very short range. He walks up to the minion wave. You do have the likes to kill them with the Nautilus and the Event Horizon from Vega, and both Vega and the Nut end up falling on a side lane. So right here, Shikari thinks he's safe. Jax Plank has his number, hiding into the bush, which means that instantly Bifrost have to recall that siege in the middle to try and help their top laner. Shikari ends up dying anyway because Vladdy pulls the TP as well. And now Fury is in a really bad position where he's been chased from one side, from 2 members of Riddle, 3 members of Riddle from the other side. Gets the best of both worlds. Yes, he dies, he takes 1 kill with him, but right now that Baron buff was completely wasted for Bifrost.
Yeah, they weren't able to get anything with that. It's bought them some time, it's bought them some pressure, but you know, Odie really wants to get that Infinity Edge before this next fight breaks out. Kevo actually a little bit closer towards that with that pickaxe in the inventory. We're seeing a base come out and a pickaxe comes in for Odie. So
I was about to say, just wait until we see how much disposable income the Aphelios has in his pocket right there. And it was almost the entirety of Infinity Edge.
Now, we've actually got the Death Cap finished up as well here for Fury. Fury's almost level 16, so that Primordial Burst is going to be hurting quite a lot, as it looks like all the teams are setting up and getting ready for this next Dragon.
All right, I want Fury to back right here and go sell that damned Ruby Crystal and buy a control ward, because that Ruby Crystal is not going to save you and it's not going to give you much value. But having more control wards for a fight that is so important for your team, in 50 seconds, it is so important. As you can see, on the other side, Riddle, every single member except Jaxplank has a control ward. And the only reason is because Jaxplank is going to be split pushing, so he's not necessarily going to be there. Saying that, though, he's going to be flanking from the bot side of the map. Bifrost are pulling the same trigger again. Is Riddle going to walk into them? Not quite.
Well, actually, interestingly, only the support on the side of Bifrost, only Highway, is rocking a control ward in their inventory.
They've put 3 down.
Okay. Oh yeah, it's a bit better. But they haven't got the ability to replenish that. That's kind of the key thing. You look on the other side, there are a lot of control wards down, a lot they can, well, so a lot they have in their inventory, and a lot they can replenish with. So Bifrost need to just kind of control this river for themselves.
The thing is, Heatbrain, how do you use your control wards if you're not allowed to walk into the river? Because Bifrost want to fight Riddle again from the same side. Right now, they're pinging Jaxplank coming from the back, but pinging him is one thing, taking him down is another.
They're going in for that already. Moonlight Vigil's been thrown down. Highway caught out. Diamond Prox gets berserk. Jaxplank's knocked up. Jaxplank's gone down. Odie pops him. And there's the Moonlight Vigil. Big flamer from the Infernum. Hits onto everyone. Getting caught out by the handshake. But remember, this dragon is soul for Riddle if they can get it. Vladdy's holding around for the moment. They've still got Stefan, but Stefan has no flash. He has no way into the pit. Gonna have to take the Hex Gate out. The dragon secured by Bifrost. They pick up a kill as well. And slowly this dragon stacking starting to work out here for Bifrost.
Beautifully done. If we look at the replay, the way Odie plays around the barrels, how fast he kills them, he's on spot in saving his entire team right there. And you can see how difficult it is for this Riddle to team fight. I think Stefan thought he made a pick there, but there's more people.
There's so many people here. Odie, he's got murder guns as well, so it's really scary to play him. Diamond gonna get himself out with a clone, nice and okay. And yeah, that was scary. They jumped over the wall and went, oh, the AD carry's got all items.
Let's look at this again, because Jaxplank is ganking from the bot side of the map. And look at Odie. He sees the barrel, he kills it instantly. Oh. If that barrel had popped right there, both Fury and Odie would be down so much HP. The second Highway comes out of that stopwatch as well, flashes instantly onto Jaxplank, and they delete him because he's the biggest threat. Then Moonlight Vigil hits everyone, and look at that. Look at that, guys. It's an Udyr. He cannot walk into the pit. He has no way of flashing into the pit. He can only fight for your early game. And right now, it just became so difficult for Riddle to get in. And I know I'm mocking Udyr a lot, but it's a case of, look, guys, I'm level 14. I'm 1 level up. But it's an Udyr. And Diamondprox's Wukong has done so much more for Bifrost in these fights, in making sure that his AD carry is safe in the backline, making the engage, making the disengage happen.
To be fair to Stefan and his Udyr, he did have a good impact early. They've been on Soul Point for a while. He was able to set them up for their kills and stuff in lanes. It's not like he's been bad on it, but this is the problem.
Oh, that was a dish on the champion.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. This is the problem with the champion, is you do get to this point in the game, and typically games do scale. And then you're like, oh, I'm a ghost smite Udyr. Like, what do I do here?
How is Vladdy behind tier 2? Whilst Baron is going on, Jaxplank is going to back right here, but he does have his still be available. Vladdy is stuck in the mid lane though.
There's just no way that Baron is going to go down, although Diamondprox almost goes down. The hostile takeover does a lot of work. They're able to find a kill in response. The Cannon Barrage doing so much. The Moonlight Vigil goes in between the marks as Odie is locked down. Odie is taken down, shut down for Vladdy as well, as he loses his life in the meanwhile. Riddle, they might have lost Baron, but they denied it from 3 members of Bifrost.
What in the world happened there? Because Jaxplank was in the bot lane and then he was back in, but he throws the Cannon Barrage in, but he doesn't TP into the fight. And then Vladdy is in the mid lane stuck together with Shikari. Shikari never gets to join the fight, but then Bifrost pull the trigger with 4 members versus 3. Yes, they end up securing their 2nd Baron of this game, but they only have it remaining on 2 members. And let's look at this again. Stefan is trying to reach from the top side of the map, and Fury is trying to zone him away so he doesn't have a way into the pit. But meanwhile, Diamondprox has fallen so low HP. Nautilus has already died, and Audi is stuck between a rock and a hard place right there. Fury, again, the best of both worlds. He gets away, has to blow his flash though, grabs McKinley in return. This is a 2-man Baron buff for the side of Bifrost, but at least this time they can stick as a unit, and they will have it whilst that dragon is just about to come up. You're pointing to me at the Anathema's chains.
Yeah, the Anathema's chains on Fury. I'm curious to see who he's put it on.
It's probably on Vladdy.
I assume it's Vladdy. That would be my assumption. He's probably the biggest nuisance right now for Fury. Able to keep him down, locked down longer, also taking that less damage. Probably going to be the attention there. They are going to try and use this Baron. Last time they were denied pretty heavily. So it looks like Bifrost not happy with how the last Baron went. Going to clear out this wave. They got 2 cannon minions, so they're able to do a lot of damage to it. And with Odie here and the cages, they should be able to pick up this tier 2. That's a big injection of cash into them. Like you're saying, a minute until the dragon's going up. So expect top lane to kind of be a little bit ignored for the moment. As Jaxplank almost level 18, Shikari level 18.
Yeah, and I was just about to mention Shikari as well, because he still has the Baron buff remaining onto him, which means that there's 2 perfectly synced waves pushing for Bifrost. Triple cannon on the bot side of the map is going to demolish that bot lane tower, and they're going in.
Yeah, they are. There's going to get a little bit of damage off as the hostile takeover goes wide. Nobody's going to get hit. Oh, no. Oh, no, Odie. Not on your jungler, man. He's able to survive. They keep the triple cannons up as well. The inhibitor should go down, stopping the barrel before it hits. Down goes the inhibitor in the bot side. Shikari should just try and finish up the towers. Vladdy flashes forward, unable to hit with the chain lash. Another event horizon is going to lock everyone up, and Shikari very close to gnawing out, so it's quite scary.
20 seconds until the next dragon comes up, and if you think that the Wukong backing there is a little bit dangerous for them, remember there are Hex Gates. There's such an easy, fast way for Diamondprox to get back into the action, because a couple of members from Bifrost will stay behind. Now, if Riddle can actually make a pick on them, right now that they're just 3, it would be huge for them, but look at the Hex Gate. Wukong is almost there to fight, but this time Bifrost are not the first ones in River, and Riddle have already set up.
And Fury teleported in as well, so his base didn't matter. The Cannon Blast just slowed everyone down. Stefan has caught out Diamondprox, but there's the smite, there's the soul! Riddle have picked it up! Massive depth charge, but they can't get quite close enough, and now Diamondprox slammed into the wall, taken down by Vladdy, as he isn't done. He's hunting for blood, the Everfrost, the Gnar. Shikari flashes in, flashes out, he jumps away to safety, as Bifrost have lost soul, and that grip, the control they were having on the game has just slipped ever so slightly from their hands.
And it all started with Audi getting hit by that Renata ultimate, taking the entire HP bar off of Diamondprox, meaning that Diamondprox, if he wants to fight for that dragon fight, he needs to back, he needs to fill up his HP bar. So Nash's ult secured Riddle that Soul. The fact that Wukong had to back, wasn't there in time, had to pray on a steal. It didn't happen. It was a 50-50. Stefan secures that one. Means that Riddle are back on the driver's seat. It means that if Kevo plays a little bit aggressive, that zap hits, someone gets slowed, someone dies.
35 minutes on the clock, Soul in the pocket of Riddle. 2 Barons have been picked up by Bifrost. They are sitting pretty uneasy, actually, after the end of that. I think it's probably the best way to word it. You know, they wanted to be slowly working towards those souls, and now they've got to deal with a team who they were doing a good job of keeping at arm's length, but when you get those big slows on the whole team and they can continue to chase at you, you have that's a real worry for the side of Bifrost. They wanted to be able to keep people slowed and keep them away or continue the chase, and now life gets ever so harder. Infinity Edge finished up, Bloodthirster on the way here for Odie, Void Staff, along with that Anathema's Chains, Death Cap, Everfrost onto Bifrost right now. Can see Vladdy a little bit lacking in the item department comparatively. Kevo is on 4 items though, so he is sitting very, very strong. His problem though, again, is it's quite hard for him to get into range of a lot of Bifrost.
Yeah, absolutely. And now Bifrost, we're looking at Jaxplank as well. Jaxplank really quickly backed right there. They were looking to make a pick. Your next objective, again, 55 seconds is going to be the Baron buff. But the entire Bifrost is towards the bot side of the map. They need to already start stacking towards the top side, making sure that their vision is set up. But Diamond Prox is always looking for picks. Whew, that anchor almost missed.
Super, super close. Able to just about avoid out onto that. No Baron quite yet. 30 seconds till that comes up. I'm curious to see if Bifrost want to risk it and go for that again. Is always on the cards for them, but they are keeping the pressure up in the mid side. Obviously, there's always Supers pushing bot, or at least for now, Supers pushing bot. So someone has to go deal with that, and it is Jaxplank on the GP. He's got the Infinity Edge Collector and that Mortal Reminder, but they found Stefan the hook and into a massive ultimate that is going to land onto the 2. Odie does so much damage to his own team. Stefan loses half his HP as well, and Bifrost denied heavily by that hostile takeover.
Baron is up. The only thing that Bifrost are missing is the Nautilus ultimate, and if you look at the bar right now, it's coming back online very rapidly on the other side. You do not have Renata ultimate on the Riddle side, so you want to push in that mid wave, put down your vision on the top side of the map, go straight for Baron. Make sure to take that little pop behind the Baron pit, because that's a way that Udyr can come in. But again, Bifrost, no, they are better in the 5 versus 5s, and without the Renata ultimate, they're looking for an opening to try and fight. Shikari went all the way back to base because Odie, I think he bashed him a little bit again, getting hit by the Renata ultimate, but it looks like Bifrost will not make a move yet, which means that Nash potentially will have his ultimate back up and available in the last fight.
Yes. It's actually very close, so yeah, probably will be back up. Bifrost now turning their attention towards this.
Please take the
Baron.
plant.
Just wanted to deal with the wards in the pit. Very hard though. Remember, Stefan, as long as that blast comes up, he doesn't have a flash. That is substituting for him being flashless. So it's kind of on Bifrost's kind of attention, really, or game plan is to get onto his blast cone, but there we go. Diamond slides in with the clone, takes the blast cone, and now Stefan, it's harder for him to get closer or into the pit.
Everyone, almost 4 items completed, 4 core items on all the carries from both teams. Every single summoner up and available, every single ultimate up and available.
Yeah.
It comes down to this last fight and who's gonna take the Baron.
So all to play for this fight. This is gonna be the game-deciding fight at this point. Going back to the last game where we were talking about M&M and making mistakes late game, if you die here, the death timer is long. That could just decide the game. Bifrost, not willing to risk it. Getting hit a little bit by the Chain Lash Q, or the pop of the Q, and slowing them all down somewhat, so they're going to pull off for the moment. But remember, their soul's big. There's the hook. There's the grab. Stefan's chunks, but he's not going down. The Cullen's going to land down. And massive hostile takeover. Bloody takes down Highway. The Cyclone, the Gnar. Diamond Prox into the middle of everyone, but Kevo is untouched. Kevo is taking names. He is taking numbers. And it is a full ace for Riddle. Decisive and absolutely crushing victory in the fight.
A full restructured Riddle from Spring, who had such a deep run into playoffs, bringing now this roster. They got beaten by Bifrost on the first round, but that was not the full roster. Now the full roster is running on full cylinders, and they're going to equalize the score between them and Bifrost to 1-1.
Head-to-head be damned. Riddle put their name forward and secure themselves as the second best team in the league. An absolutely amazing game. Very back and forth, very, very tense. I absolutely love that game.
And honestly, I'm just gonna go back straight to the draft, give props to whoever made the pivot, whether it was a coach, whether it was a player, from the Nami to the Renata. The second that Aphelios got locked in, you don't play for lane dominance anymore, you play to ruin someone's day. Aphelios, very heavy hitter. He gets hit by 3 Renata ultimates back to back to back, causes the soul to go over to Riddle because Diamond Prox had to back. He got hit by Audi like 3 times, all his HP is gone. Shikari's full HP is gone. He's not there for the mid lane fight. And then in the last one, they catch him with a hostile takeover and they kill him during the CC.
An undeniably important game for both of those teams, and the score has been equalized, but it's time for our analyst Des to break that down. So Archeron, over to you.
Thank you so much. And we promised this game was going to deliver, and delivered it did. Now Riddle tying up the one-on-one versus Bifrost. If there's a tie at the end of the split, it's going to be a spicy one. I don't know what's going to happen, but going back into the beginning of the game, we need to talk about the early game as Diamond Prox yet again falls short in the jungle.
The early game went completely off the radar for Bifrost, unfortunately for them. They did not have the control over it. They did not have control over anything happening in the early game. They were giving away the kills, some very crucial kills to the mid lane, to the jungle, and they could not find the ways to recover from that.
And sometimes you just lose track of like some important factors during draft. And I remember sitting down in the green room and seeing some stuff going on, like in the early game, Bifrost like losing some kills in the enemy in their own jungle, and thinking, hang on, didn't they just pick a load of losing lanes? Isn't that what's happened at this point? So when we see Diamond Prox getting invaded on his blue buff, it's not like Veigar can really answer a Sylas early on. Sylas loves skirmishing early, and Bifrost weren't prepared for that. So whereas before, Bifrost have been brawling, they've been very fast and loose about how they've been playing, particularly around bot side, because they have stronger early game picks. Riddle didn't allow them to do that this game, and that kind of fixed a load of the cracks of the Riddle composition, which we were kind of saying needs to have a larger lead to function, which they then got.
If you see a weakness constantly as an opposing team, you're like, well, when we play against them, maybe we can explore this. And it seems like teams are realizing what Bifrost is doing right now, so they're taking advantage of that. And Riddle is kind of a punishing team. And then we move on into the mid game, where everybody is thinking, well, I think Riddle has this in the bag. They didn't.
No, because the early advantage led to dragon stacking and thinking, oh no, you cannot give her over a Hextech Soul because it's way too powerful. That slows, again, gives target access to a team which maybe can suffer with that. And then this Dragonfire happens. I believe we have a clip of it, so we're going to go play that as we talk through this as well. Because Bifrost, we know they have magic hands. They can find these fights really, really well. And we've seen this all the way through spring, especially saw it at EU Masters, where they find some really big turnaround fights. And in this one where they were fighting for that soul point, they managed to get up to the objective first, hold it. They've waited all this time not fighting dragons to get OD items on the Aphelios, and it does so much damage across that team fight. So Bifrost, yet again, have found a way to magically find the team fights when they need them.
And when they need to, and Bifrost were kind of taking control of the game. Are you joining the Renata team right now?
Yes.
Can we show that one? Can we show the last one? That was an amazing
You're being
fight.
blessed by NLC Renatas. We had them all the way in
Yes.
You're
spring.
kind of spoiled
Absolutely
on that
absurd.
matter. Look at this.
This was beautiful Renata ultimate. Like, there were a couple of them actually throughout the game that were completely changing how the team fights and just the game in general was going. But in this particular fight, like, look at that. There is a very good engage from Bifrost. They're starting the game, they have the baby cage, they have the Nautilus going in the slow. But then this, the hostile takeover lands on exactly who it needs to be landing. The champions who have the damage in their hands.
And who's going to be the unsung hero of this is Vladdy, in terms of, like, you can look at that Renata ult, but that was a full AP Nautilus ult onto like 3-4 people, which CC locks the cleanseless Aphelios into slaughtering the rest of his team. That was a disgusting CC combo. Vladdy has been making plays from beginning to end. I am seriously impressed by Vladdy once again.
And we talk about the champion select, and we're giving praises to Bifrost for looking into that team fight capability. But I do believe we need to give props to Riddle as well,
100%.
as they build a really good team, and they put in the Renata as, okay, you want a team fight? Let's do it. And out of a sudden, they win that game out of that play. It was not only about a play, it was also about protecting your the way you want to fight as well. I believe Riddle are the kings at this, fishing for specific positions where you force the enemy to fight.
I think that's definitely one thing. I mean, I'm still hung up on this like really good individual playmaking level from Spring. It's kind of like, again, like the spirit of Spring Riddle passed on the summer, which we were saying Spring Riddle kind of needed to do this. Some of Riddle do it just because they can. In this game, it's a mix of both. They kind of needed that level of playmaking opportunity and that potential, but it's so impressive to watch once again.
I think it was you that brought up the topic of Riddle fight for objectives not because they need to, but because they can and they want to.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing, right?
Seems like a good sentence.
Yeah, it's just like they found their way to find their own terrain. I think Bifrost can test them well on that this time because actually Bifrost are an incredibly good team fighting team. But to see both these teams go head to head and give us a level, like a match of this level, it's so entertaining to watch.
A game that was like a dessert, I would say, before we have the dinner. Let's see now into the interviews. Let's talk with, oh, I just got information from Stefan. Okay, it's Stefan now. I didn't have that one on my book, but welcome to the show. What an amazing game it was. Are you feeling comfortable after this win versus Bifrost?
Yeah, I mean, it was a fun game. It was a long game. I think it should have ended a lot quicker. I think we made a couple of key mistakes in team fights. But yeah, to be honest, their team comp was a lot easier to play in team comps. Ours was like, if you fail something mechanically, then the whole team fight goes down. So yeah, it was fun. It was a challenge, basically.
Okay, Stefan, look into my eyes. Why you dear? Why are you doing this? Why? Explain.
I mean, I thought of this, or like as a team, we thought of this like 2-3 days ago, I think. Like, I mean, in terms of diamond procs, I think all of his champs are bad into Udyr. So I just went on to a secret account, spammed some Udyr games, spammed some Scream games with Udyr, and it looked good. And I was confident today, so I picked it.
You 10,000 IQ slippery jungler. I love this. Thank you so much for that input.
No, but these are like, I think this shows a level of respect to your opponents. I would love to get your opinion as one of the players on what is our second best team. We'll see what happens towards the end of the split, whether that can become even more than that. What's your opinion of the top teams in the NLC right now? What do you feel about the level of this region?
It's really high for sure. I think the top 2 teams, I mean, not including us.
Give me that
like X7. Not including us, like X7 and XL are both really good teams. I think aside from that, there are probably like 2-3 teams that are close to us, like Dusty and Bifrost as well. I think Bifrost is pretty good. So yeah, I think the overall quality of the league is pretty high and the competition is really nice.
And we talk a lot about identity in teams and looking into your team. You're the new formed team. And you already had time to prepare. You had time to shine as well. Do you think Riddle has found their identity right now? You think that's the Riddle we're going to see throughout the split?
Yeah, I think we kind of found how we want to play, but that isn't necessarily like one-dimensional. I feel like all our players are really talented and we can basically rely on anyone carrying at any point of the game. So I think that's probably one of our biggest strengths, that we're very versatile. And yeah.
I've been noticed that. I look into Riddle like a chameleon where they can adapt to the environment they are right now. I know it's a weird animal, but I think it fits the pictures. Thank you so much for this interview, Stefan, and good job, even though you played the deer. But good job, man. Congratulations, man. We love you nonetheless.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Chameleon. Chameleon.
Why not?
Do you have any animal facts about it at least?
I do. They change colors.
Wow.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
Well-known one, but it's still a fact.
I kind of walked into that.
You did.
I couldn't see it. It was blended in with the background like a chameleon.
Oh boy. But no, they are confident. They take down Bifrost. So important for the standings as well, because now they get some distance away from Bifrost. They have the 1-1 versus them. And if they keep this split, this is obviously a top contender for the first place or second place.
It's really nice to see how they're reshaping a little bit their identity throughout the games they have had so far. And it's so nice to see how also they combine all those individual levels, because you can see all these people are playing so nicely. They understand so well what they need to do individually. But what is important, you need to understand what you do as a team. And here I can see all of that in that team.
Final take on this one before we move on to the other interview.
Riddle good.
Riddle good?
Riddle good.
They are quite good at League of Legends. That's what you usually say to me. Okay, on the other side, I want to know when I'm going to talk with Bifrost, because I'm not sure. Pěna, okay, I have the right person. Welcome, Pěna. Welcome to the show. Pleasure to meet you as well. This was a rough game, but it was an interesting game nonetheless, no?
Yeah, it was interesting, but not the result I was expecting, of course, or we were expecting. But nonetheless, I'm sure we learned a lot from this game.
Okay, and learning a lot about this game and about the top 6 as well. We were talking about the top 6 in the beginning of the show. Can you tell me what you think about the teams that are approaching playoffs, including Bifrost? Is this more stacked than it was in Spring Split for you?
Ooh, that's a good question.
So I don't really want to judge other teams for now, but I can talk about my team. For us, this split, we decided to gamble and take some time off because the off season, the season in general, the split was pretty long in spring. So we really came into the split without any practice at all, almost. And we decided that we would want to pick during playoffs. And the plan is still to do that. For now, we look a bit weaker, but it was expected, and we were expecting that, and we believe in mental health rather than picking in the regular season.
Yeah, you bring in the legend as well into your team. Obviously, you need some time to adapt. Do you believe Bifrost will be at the top level they can be for this split by the time you get into playoffs?
Yes, I believe so. I believe we will be ready in playoffs and in EU Masters, hopefully. For now, we keep learning. We keep using those defeats to take some more experience and to get some, just to get ready for the playoffs.
Okay, thank you for the interview and for your intake as well for Bifrost, the way you're playing right now and what we can expect from Bifrost in the future. And good luck for the rest of the split.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
So yeah. And there we go, Bifrost.
I'm remembering to wave now. I'm remembering to wave now.
You're mastering as well.
Thank
We'll
you.
give you a level 5. Not mastery level 7, but level 5. It's something.
I'm glad I have something to take from this.
Obviously learning a lot from these two teams that are looking into the top of the standings. Shall we show the standings
Yes.
as they are right now? Let's look into the standings to understand how Riddle are taking some distance from Bifrost, from the 3rd place, from the 4th place as well. They're just peeking into JDXL. They're like, we're watching, slip once.
There is somebody else who's peeking into that last game and who's very happy with the outcome. Look at Dusty sitting on the 3rd place right now. They have to be so happy with what just happened in the last game. Bifrost losing game allowed them to climb up a little bit.
And also Astralis are pretty happy with that too. You know, we were talking on Monday a little bit. I think it was in the pre-show, something that you were saying, actually, Solari. It was about, you know, you can kind of tell who's going to be at the very top and the very bottom. Middle ground just gets to be an absolute Wild West for most of the last part of the split, though. Of course, things can shift around, but look at this. It is an absolute mud bath right up towards like that left-hand side of that table. Dusty, Bifrost, Astralis, X7, all of these teams going to be in very close contention. It came down pretty much to the last day and a couple of the final games last split for playoffs. We're only halfway through this split, so we're not going to go... We're going to keep some of our powder dry on that one. Make sure we save that for the real narratives towards the end. But just keep an eye on it, because it looks like it is going to get very close.
If you want to keep the same theme of the Mount Targon, if you look into the northern region...
Do you like your mountain climbing?
Yeah, I really like it. Even the introduction is mountain climbing.
It fits. You just
into
really
Mount
like it.
Targon. I would say the middle of the pack is the higher you reach, the slipperier it gets because you're climbing on ice. And the middle of the pack, everything can take everything. Everybody can win.